Hello everybody, Dave here for another Dave Gets Wood, and let's see what's the time's 8:30 in the morning, which I don't see very often unless I've been awake all night. Now, admittedly, my sleep has been fucked for the last 4 days, so I think I ended up being up all night Saturday night, up as long as I could Sunday. I think I went to sleep about 6 PM Sunday evening and had a very broken sleep, but eventually at 4 o'clock this morning I was awake enough that I couldn't get back to sleep, so I've been up since 4. And interestingly, I'm going to say I feel energised. I don't feel like I've got loads of energy, but I just feel like I'm like, okay, come on, right, let's do this, and I can get things done. I don't know whether it's because it's the time of day or because I've had a decent sleep. Even though it was broken, it was better sleep than I've been having for the last couple of months. So I don't know which it is, but either way, I've got a bit of get up and go about me today. So I've come over to my folks early. To be fair, I set off at mine 7:15 and would have expected to be here in 15-20 minutes. Fucking traffic was a nightmare because there's been an accident. So anyway, I'm here early, and I've got a lot to do, or a lot I can try and do. Today is the day of the draws, okay? And I am going to get cracked on with them as soon as I can, but I just want to mention a couple of things. I mentioned last video about me doing a bit of research about polishing, how to polish the unit up, and I mentioned that I might try and get my hands on an orbital sander. Well, I have. I've got my hands on you might say it backwards on the screen, but anyway, I've got myself a JCB orbital sander. Now, I say I've got my hands on, and no, I didn't nick it, and no, it wasn't. It's not nicked. It's not hot. But yeah, I mean, interestingly, with the orbital sander as well, I haven't used it yet. I haven't even taken it out of the box. But there's a couple of reasons why I wanted to give it a go. One was because of, obviously, for the polishing purposes, for the unit, but also for my table, but also the little sort of triangle sander that I've got, the electric one, the Bosch one, has been very good. But I had started to notice that it wasn't sanding evenly across its face, basically. Like if I sanded over a piece of wood, there was it's almost as if there was high points and low points, and yeah, it was frustrating me a little bit. So I thought, well, you know what, it's done exactly what I wanted it to do, and it's still useful, and I'm very pleased with it. For getting into corners, yeah, I'm very happy with it. But I've never used an orbital sander, so, well, I say that, I have, but not for sanding wood. So it'll be interesting to see what that's like. Now, I've also got myself some polishing pads, although they're for a car. But I've also got this, which is a faux, which means fake. I don't know why they don't just put fake. Faux lamb's wool bonnet. Basically, you can get lamb's wool cloths and pads, and this is a faux lamb's wool, which can go, well, it says that it can go on orbital sanders. So yeah, it'll be interesting to give that a try, but obviously I can always use that by hand as well. But also I've got these I mean, these three, the yellow one is for applying polish. Obviously this initially, well, it says for cars, caravans, boats, bikes, trailers and house. Well, you don't polish brick, so I'm guessing it should be alright for stuff in the house, but I wouldn't necessarily need the yellow one anyway. The white one is for buffing and remove polish residue. Well, I'm actually not going to be applying polish. I'm basically just going to be buffing the varnish that's on it. So the white one I could use, and the blue one is polished to a high quality finish. So I could potentially use the white and blue ones, but I don't think I'd use them by trying to attach them to the orbital sander. But it does come with a, actually thinking about it, is it a hook and loop? Yeah, interesting, it's a hook and loop grip for the handle, which is the same as the orbital sander. It's hook and loop, so these pads would actually connect onto the orbital sander. Or if I was a bit concerned about putting that directly onto the orbital sander, I could put one of these on first and then put this over it, because it's kind of like got a tie cover. So anyway, done that, and I've got myself a new screwdriver set, because I haven't got a screwdriver set. All I've had is like a multi-tool screwdriver. And one thing I noticed fitting the door with these old screws, none of them are crosshead screws, they're all flathead screws, and all of the multi-tool screwdrivers that I've used, they don't quite have the finesse that I need. So I decided to try and get myself some sort of small headed screwdrivers to do it, and to be fair, it worked out in the long run cheaper to get a set of screwdrivers. It also means my dad can't blame me for any of his screwdrivers going missing. So I decided to get myself a screwdriver set, so that'll be very, very useful, hopefully. Also, I want to mention as well, I said that I need to look for some really fine sandpaper. I'd got my foam sanding pads. Well, I went to B&Q, obviously, because I've got some of this stuff, and looked for fine sandpaper, and they didn't have anything finer than 180 grit. Basically, the lower the number, the coarser it is, and I don't want coarse, I want. So anyway, when I was talking to my dad here last week and asked him what his finest sandpaper is, his was for aluminium, and they use a different code, so he wasn't sure what it would be. He said, well, the finest you can get is wet and dry sanders, and I've seen a bit of them on YouTube, never used one myself. But then when I was in B&Q and I was looking around, I happened to see the foam pads that I've got, and guess what? These are wet and dry sanding pads. So you can use them wet or you can use them dry. I've seen things used wet. I'd need to look into it a bit more before I just go into water on something and get it. So I don't know about the wet bit, but you can just use it dry, and that's what I've been doing. So to be fair, this is the perfect thing anyway. I'd already got it. So when I say I'd not used wet and dry, I was lying. Well, I wasn't lying, I was telling the truth. I didn't know that I'd used it. So I don't need new sanders, this is fine. Probably could have done with getting a new pair, to be honest, but I'm happy with those for now. Okay, so that's kind of brought you up to speed with what's been happening over the course of the week. So today is about getting started on the drawers, which I'm about to get done in a minute, but it is bitterly cold here today. I think the temperature outside is only going to get up to about 12 degrees all day, and in here I've got a heater on at the moment. The heater is behind me, and when I turned it on it was showing 11 degrees, so it's not very warm here today. So I may get limited by how much I can do because of that. What I need to do though is have a rummage around my dad's workshop to see how many G-clamps I can find, because ideally, thinking about it, I've got one of my own at home and it's still there. Annoyingly, I should have brought it with me, because ideally I'd like to get 9 clamps so that I can clamp all of the drawers end on to my table. Because if I can do that, then I can just literally whiz around them. Do one, move on, do one, move on, do one, and move on. By the time I get back to the first one, hopefully it'd have been about an hour, and that'll be dry and it'd be ready for its next coat, and so on. So I need to see how many clamps we've got. The other thing I need to do as well is, because I've got this orbital sander and I've got these polishing pads and I've not used them on wood before, I need to test it. I need to know what I'm doing before I go and turn it on and stick it on the unit, because the last thing I want to do is burn through all of my varnish and fuck up the unit trying to get that extra finish. So one of the things that I'm going to do today as well is I'm going to find myself a scrap piece of wood where I can literally just splash on 2 or 3 coats or 2 coats of stain and then 2 or 3 coats of varnish, but only polish half of it, okay, so I can clearly see the difference, and use that piece of wood as my test piece. So I need something that's not narrow, I need something that's got a bit of width to it, but I'm sure I can find that no problem. Also, my faux leather has turned up. I mentioned that I wanted to put some kind of liner in the inside of the unit. If I get chance today, if I don't, I'm not fussed, but if I do get a chance today, if I've got some time where I'm waiting around, what I want to try and do is see if I've got a nice big piece of paper and actually cut it out to the size and shape of the thin piece of wood that I need for inside the unit. Then I can obviously put that on a piece of wood and cut it out. And then we've got the faux leather now, so that can then get applied to it, and that'll be the inside sorted. And I haven't actually pulled it out of the packaging that it came in, but I know I only need, I don't need a lot, 1/2 metre by less than 1/2 metre, but I think I've got about 2 metres in length by about 1 metre wide. And one of the reasons for that is I wanted to have enough material that, let's say for example, it works in the base of the unit, but the sides don't quite look right inside. Well, we've got the material to match it. Or for example, if my mum decided that she wanted to make some kind of cover for the top of the unit, there's a matching material that can go with it. If not, if we wanted to actually have some kind of liner for the drawers, I've got material. So I was thinking ahead on that, and to be fair, it was actually very, very cheap. Now I might find there's a reason for that, but we'll see. And can you tell I've got a bit of get up and go about me today? I'm like blah 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 blah. Anyway, I need to crack on, so I'm gonna go and hunt the clamps. Wish me luck. Right, the drawers are ready. I don't mean they're done. I don't mean that's fucking stupid. I'm not that good. They're in position to be started on, and I will show it in a sec. But they all do need a clean. And admittedly, it's taken me a bit of time sort of positioning them around the table, in the hope that I can get them all attached to the table and have just enough room to get to the sides of the drawers where I need to. So I did have to fiddle about a bit, and I did find 9 clamps. I actually found 10, but I only need 9. And I tell you, it was a big difference sitting slightly further back behind the heater than where I was in front of it. Although it's up to 13 degrees at the heater now. So yeah, so I'm actually thinking about just trying to brush clean or cloth clean the drawers, because they're basically just dusty. They've had nothing done to them for months, and it has been fucking months. So they just need a bit of a clean. Now, part of me is thinking, I might be best giving them all a very light sanding with me wet and dry, and then just getting a damp cloth and giving them a wipe over then, because basically it killed 2 birds with 1 stone. By giving them a light sanding, it means that they've had a preparation sand. They then get dusty. the best way to get rid of the dust is either by using a cloth with white spirits on it or a damp cloth, because the sanded wood sticks to the cloth. The only thing is, if I do that, the wood then needs time to dry, and because it's not very warm in here, it's going to take longer to dry. So I'm a little concerned about doing that. I suppose it depends on how damp my cloth is. So I'll show you what the situation is at the moment. Okay, so here we have the drawer henge, as I'm going to call it, with all of the drawers in position to be worked on, and hopefully, I know I've mentioned it before, but on the sides there's only these little notches that are actually going to need varnishing, and the little strip along the edge. So that's where these are going to come in useful, so that I can hopefully, I might have to cut them down a bit, to be fair, but so that I can literally just go right up to the edge and just do a little bit and a little bit just to get the styling on it. But that's what they're for. Now also, I mentioned not long ago that there was something with the drawers. Now what it is, I noticed, let's see if we can find it, with one of the drawers there, I think it's that one, I noticed something, and I immediately went, holy shit, okay, it's those two. Right, these two both appear to have quite large cracks in them. Now, I'm pretty sure that this one had the crack anyway, but that one I can't remember. I really can't. So I'm not sure if I need to be concerned about them, but to be honest, because they've been treated to the point they have for as long as they have, I don't think there's anything that I can do to them anyway. So even if I attempted to do some form of repair, there's no way I'm getting that gap to come back together, not without, I think, putting too much stress on the wood. I could attempt to fill the gap, but unfortunately I don't think, if we were in summer I might be tempted to do that, but because the weather's turning, it's getting colder, the way I would fill it is with my wood dust, which I've still got, and glue. But with the temperature the way that it is, I don't think the glue would set right, and would potentially cause more damage, so I don't think it's worth doing it. But anyway, I'm just taking a breather for a few minutes, and then I'm going to give these drawers a clean, and I'm going to make a start. Now, I've been wanting for ages to be able to position my camera just to sort of show a bit of what I'm doing, like I tried on the last video, but it's not always easy to do. I haven't got anything to put it on, I ain't got a tripod or anything, and it's not a camera, it's a phone. But it would be interesting to sort of do a bit of a kind of like a time lapse on these, but we'll see. I don't know what'll work. Anyway, time for me to crack on. Okay, so I've given these all a light sand and given them a wipe over with a damp cloth. Hopefully you can see them all. So I need to leave these for a while now, just to make sure that they are dry. I mean, they're not exactly wet, but I just want to make sure that they are not wet, damp in any way, shape or form, before I start. You know what, I don't think I've wiped that one. I thought I had. Yeah, so I need to make sure that these are completely dry before I try applying any stain to them. They've had one coat of stain, as I've mentioned in the past a long time ago, and having given them a little sand over and a clean, they're looking a slightly deeper colour than they were before, but that's because they were covered in dust. So what I'm going to do while I wait for these to dry is I need to find my scrap piece of test wood, because I want to apply varnish stain to that before I apply it to any of this, so I can basically bring it into the sequence of layers, so to speak. Okay, so now I have managed to get the camera positioned, as you can see, but I'm not going to keep it on for the whole time that I'm doing this stuff, because it's going to take me a long time to do it, and I haven't got that enough memory on my phone for that. Also, I'm already struggling being up on my feet, so I don't know how much I'm going to get done today, because at any point I could reach or go beyond my limit. But so far so good. Let's crack on. Okay, I have my test scrap piece of wood, which I have sanded. Well, I say I've given it a light sand, and what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to cover the whole thing in a coat of varnish, a couple of coats of stain. I may even try, I've mentioned about the technique I saw someone using of like basically applying loads in any manner and then wiping all the excess off in the direction of the grain, but I think he had a wood conditioner on before applying stain, so I'm not too keen on that, but this is going to be my test piece anyway, and one of the reasons why I've made it quite a long piece is because I'm going to need to work out how the different motions on an orbital sander could affect it. So when it comes to actually polishing it, I am only going to polish half, so that at first I can see the difference of the techniques that I've used, and then if I need to practice some more, I've got the other half to do that. Now hopefully, well, it does fit down there, but I may have to get a little bit messy when doing that one. We'll see. I might have to move one of the drawers actually. Perhaps move this big one, this long one, just to give me access to that one, so I can get that done. Only take me a second to clamp that back on. So I think that's what I will do. I'm going to crack on with that. So once I've started applying that as well, I'm then going to start applying the stain on these. And what I will try and do is I will try and play the video a bit, because I'll start on this one, I think, and work my way round. So hopefully you'll be able to, rather than having a before and after picture, you'll be able to physically see the difference in coloration. Okay, I've got my first coat on my scrap bit of wood, and I'm now, can you tell I'm fucked already? And now I'm going to start on these bad boys. Now, to begin with, I'm thinking I might just go with the small one, but then it could take a while. I am already, I'm struggling, I am. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to go that way. See how I get on. Well, that's going on quite nice, to be fair. I'm applying a little bit more, put it on a little bit thicker. Oh, and fucking wasps have returned, or at least one of them has. It's flickering on the light above my head at the minute. Used a little one for the trims. I'm going to have to go over this side. kind of trying to be anally precise, which isn't easy for me to do, as I'm finding out right here. Apologies if you can't actually see at the moment, but tough. Me getting it right is more important than you seeing. Getting an interesting shine off the varnish, actually making it difficult for me to see. So I am trying to apply, quite a thickish layer. I wouldn't even call it thickish layer, a decent layer of stain, because I want the wood to soak it in. But what I will have to do is obviously take off any excess. Oh, this is hurting, being in this position. I need to get the other side done. I think I've just applied too much. Oh. And one of the things that I have seen on quite a few of my research videos, when I've been doing a bit of research, is about not fearing stain too much. Yes, you can end up with nasty streaks if you apply too much and leave too much on. But if you can get rid of the excess, you can be absolutely fine. Now, one way you can do that is to just keep spreading, or like I'm doing here, I'm letting my foam spread out any more excess or soak up any excess. And if there is too much, I'm then using a different side of the foam, just to, because it's not got any varnish on it already, to just take away that extra bit of excess. Oh, well, that's not looking too bad really. I need to do the sides. Now this is where I may struggle a bit with trying to have a bit of finesse. Because I'm shaking. Normally I'd sit down, and to be fair, I probably should for this. But it's kind of, for this, if I sit down, it's kind of above my head, so I'm holding my hands up, which then means that my hands go dead. That's too much. I'm trying to add, so it's on a bit thin here. I know I said don't fear it, but you can also go over the top like I just have done there, you cock. Okay, that's not too bad. Oh, come on, hand. hands work properly. It's annoying because I mentioned about I've oddly got a lot of get up and go today, which I have, but my body's letting me down. Could do with taking a little bit of that off. I definitely found these foam brushes extremely useful though, very useful. More useful than my normal sponges that I'm using. Right, that's taken off. I am struggling a bit though with the fiddly bits. Oh, cock. Ow. No, I am going to have to sit down for this because this is difficult. I could really do with more space for putting stuff down. Now, hopefully, my foam has got enough varnish on it for me to just apply. Oh, there's too much on there. Okay. If I'm able to do this, I would be fucking amazed because I'm kind of free-handing to a straight line. Oh yeah, there we go. Got it wrong a bit. And this is why I wanted to be able to mask it. I know you probably can't see what I'm doing at the moment, but it's basically a very, very thin strip, and I've already made a little bit of a mess of it, but I can save it a little bit with my thumb. Oh, right, let's see if we can. Now I haven't put any additional varnish on my on this at the moment, because if I put too much on here now, it would be extremely difficult to get it all off. This is just the first one. This is killing me. This is killing my arm. I might have to. It's not quite as easy as I thought it'd be. I'm going to have to apply a little bit of extra varnish now. Yeah, it's definitely not quite as easy as I thought it'd be, but that's more because of my issues rather than having done something wrong. Maybe I can just rub it in a bit with my finger. I mean, it's definitely showing a slight different coloration, which is effectively what I'm after. I just need to be able to get enough on there that it can soak in. Maybe that's how I could do it. If I'll give that a try. Actually, I'm going to plonk a bit on. And when I say a bit, it's a tiny bit. And see how it soaks it in, because obviously it's a separate piece of wood. I'm sure I had another small foam thing here. Oh, I better put it in the back there, didn't I? Okay, so that, I think I'm just going to have to get my hands dirty a little bit on this one, as odd as it might sound. Don't put too much on. Oh shit. Like that. We'll this is so fiddly. I can see why I wanted to masking tape it. Oh, God, I'm just going to have to be ever so bloody careful. Oh shit, you'll try not dropping your foam sponges on the floor, Dave. Oh, okay, I'm making an absolute meal of this here. Come on, Dave, you can do better than what you're doing right now. Don't fuck it up at this point. Stabilising myself on the drawer next to me. Let's see how that comes out. I mean, I would not be able to do this with a paintbrush. Well, I might be able to do it with a fucking tiny paintbrush, but I fucking hate tiny paintbrushes. This is definitely, I may have to take a slightly different approach to this. I wonder. Right, I'm going to try something here. I think. Oh, I don't know. No. Let's see how that goes. Right, I need to do the back piece on this anyway. And I can't hang about too long because if I do, the stain in my tub that I'm holding will start to dry. Yeah, when I say take a different approach, one of the things I was just thinking of was perhaps instead of trying to be sort of perfectly finessed on it. Oh no, come on. Do not want to be leaving an excess strip on there. I'm going to have to, I can go over that now. Yeah, rather than sort of trying to be sort of millimetre perfect on it, what I might benefit from, oh for fuck's sake, is basically just, instead of trying to varnish the notches, varnish the whole strip where the notches are. So basically all of this bit along here, it might work, it also might not, but from what I've just found trying to do that bit, I am going to have a few problems. It's going to take a long fucking time, especially to do it for 5 coats at minimum. Right, you know what, I am going to try, I'm going to do it on this side. It's worth trying, I believe. It would make things a lot easier, especially with me struggling. I mean, it might look a bit odd, but at the end of the day, it's a drawer that's not going to be, well, it's a part of the drawer that's not always going to be visible. This is where I find out I'm going to fuck that bit up. Oh, come on, Dave. I am struggling with this. Freehanding it might not be the best of ideas, but where's my cloth? Let's go. No, it don't look right. It doesn't look right. To rub that in a little bit, and I can fucking blend that in a bit. No, bollocks. bloody typical that the bit I decide to record and show is the bit that I struggle with the most. I'm just going to have the patience to try and do it a little bit at a time. The thing is, it is looking a little bit naff because I'm not able to fully apply it how I want. It's too small of an area I'm working with. Shit. I wonder. Right, I'm going to try something. Okay, I've decided to adjust my foam brush to give it a shaped bit and hope that this will give me more accuracy. Which it is. It's still not fucking perfect, but I wouldn't have had anything else to try and do this with. I mean, in hindsight, with how long it's taken, I probably would have been better. For example, popping that off there and giving myself room to work with. I'm definitely not happy with how this one is going at the moment, but hopefully by the time I have completed these, I'll have worked out a way to do it that I'm very happy with. You know what, looking at it as well with the effect of dropping some additional varnish onto the leading face, it might be worth doing the sides first. Because otherwise, look how that's dried up very, very quickly, that has. Okay, yeah, I've got a feeling this is not going to go as quickly or as smoothly as I would have liked. This is now become a bit of a pain in the backside, but a lot of it is about learning. Ow. I'm going to move this one. So that I can get in on this edge. If I can end up with a way of being happy with how I am applying these bits, I'll be over the moon. And to be fair, on this occasion, not bad. Not perfect, but better. I'll be honest though, I don't think when it comes to doing a bit of clear varnishing, I don't think I'll go down the route of being this precise with it. Yeah, hurting. My back is hurting like fuck. Okay, definitely making progress. I mean, it definitely doesn't look perfect, that's for certain, but it looks better than it did. I knew that this bit was going to be fiddly. I didn't realise it was going to be this fiddly. I was hoping that this would be a very quick process, but unfortunately that is not the case. Right, it ain't perfect, that is for fucking sure, but I can now move on to the next one. So I'm actually going to take this one off now. So I can do this one. I really was hoping it was going to be a quick, simple, easy bosh bosh bosh, but that's not the case. Okay, so I'm going to do the sides first. I know you can't really see me, but tough shit. I suppose really I should have got some fine, like proper fine brushes or something for this, but I didn't think it was going to be this fucking awkward. I'm glad though that I've got these little, I mean if I didn't have these little foam brushes, fuck me, I would be stuffed. I have got to be very careful though here of my stain getting way too dry. Now admittedly I've poured quite a lot into my tub, but that's because it's the last of one tin. And like I said, I was hoping that this would be a very quick process, not a fiddly one like this, but that's life, you learn lessons. To be fair, this one looking better, and now that that's done, I can do, I know you can't see me, all you see is my back at the moment, but again, tough. That foam brush has dried up very, very quickly. It hasn't liked whatever I've done to it. You have to bear that in mind though, if they're going to dry up that fast, it could become a problem. Now to try and get this side done, where this is still in my way a little bit, but I'm not going to worry too much. Oh, way too much on there. Oh. Right. Come on, David, let's go. It's interesting because with this foam you definitely do have to apply a bit of pressure for it to release. Without that little bit of pressure, it doesn't release what's on the foam. I'm definitely not 100% happy with how this is going at the moment. I mean, okay, I am more interested with how the front's going to look, but I was hoping for lovely detailing, but that's not happening. Let's try and get a nice I'm thinking a little more brute force and a little less gentleness might help me here. That's way too much stuff, Dave. Well, I can spread it about, can't I? So let's pop some there, let's pop some there. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'm just being a little too nice to it. Oh. You know what? It's working, not being nice. Whether it will finish nicely or not, I don't know, we'll find out. Right, you know, I'm going to use that. I'll use the smaller one for on here, why not? I'm applying quite a bit on here. So, how's it looking on the camera? Because I don't know. I'm not too worried about the brass either. So, like the lock, the keyholes, or the latches on the top, because I know I can clean them up. Right, well I'm buggered, so I'm going to take a break and then I'm going to try and crack on with these. It's taking so long, I'm not going to be able to record it all. I've had a disaster. I'm going to have to reevaluate, or I have had to reevaluate how I'm doing this, because in my mind I saw it as being a very quick process, but considering that I've just knocked, even though they were clamped down, I've just knocked one of the drawers off the table. And caused a little bit of damage. You know, I can't even remember which drawer it is now. Basically, I've taken all the drawers down. So in my attempt of speed and showing on the video and stuff like that, I've come very, very close to disaster. So it's time to stop and reevaluate. Clearly, these edges need more attention than I was giving them, so it's time I do that. So basically I am just going to do one at a time and worry about nothing other than doing one at a time. It will take however long it takes. That was my misjudgment. That now, okay, you could say, well, you should learn from knocking something off the table. But the things, if I've done it once, I can do it again. So at this point, it's best to take the right approach. Fuck. Thankfully, I think it'll be all right. Yeah, it's that one. Basically, it's not this one, but basically, as this one has, not this one, but as it has hit the ground, I haven't varnished this one yet, but as this one has hit the ground, sort of this piece has, it split and popped out, not all the way, but it popped out enough. Now I've been able to knock it back in. And it should be okay because of the way that these are put together. It's not like they can come apart like that way, that's why they have that edge. But yeah, it did split a bit and pop out a bit, and I'm annoyed at myself for that, so I'm going to slow things down a bit. Hello, right, I'll give you a bit of an update. I have managed to give all of the drawers one coat today of stain. I've recovered a little bit from the disaster, and to be fair, I got myself into a nice rhythm and I got myself into a nice routine of how to do the edges. So this is the last one that I did, so you can see I've done a fairly decent job on that one. So that's the last one that I did. Compared to the first one that I did, which as you can see is all fucking messy here. So I have got myself into a process of doing them now. I was going to kind of just keep going through the rotation because it's taken a long time, but I think I need a bite to eat, and yeah, I need to give myself a break. It has taken a while to do them. I've learned a couple of bits along the way. Well, I say I've learned stuff. I mean, it's stuff that I know already, but kind of remembered, and like working out a process that works for me, rather than going, well, what I'd like to do is this, and it not work and then panic. So, yeah, today could have very easily have turned into a mega disaster. Now what I will say is, I'll show some of the drawers at the moment. So that's the first one that I did, and I have done the fronts of all of them. That's obviously the back. So colour wise, obviously the colour is coming on a lot, but obviously they definitely need at least one more coat. I wouldn't be surprised if they might need two, but I've got a feeling one more coat will get them up to the same colour level as the front of the unit. So yeah, so I think I'm going to take a break for a bit and have myself a cob, and then see if I'm up to carrying on. Ideally, I do want to get the next coat on. Now I've got me stain still in the tub, but it has been so long doing this that I think that may be past its best. But I've put the lid on it, which is odd. Get popping off. Put the lid on it in the hope that it'll keep it fine. If I can use it, I will use it. Also, my test piece. This is now. Oh shit! Oh, I nearly dropped it. This has now had 3. Oh shit! It's still wet. This has now had 3 coats of stain on it, and I haven't I've not gone gently with this. I have literally just gone splosh, sort of just whacked it on, and I can't believe I've just fucking put my fingers in. I'm so dirty today. I've come here with high hopes and sort of get up and go, and I've ended up messy, making mistakes, almost having an absolute fucking disaster. I've had to slow myself down so that I don't go too far and completely ruin everything, because that would be tough to take. Right, I'm going to need to check how much memory I've got on my camera, because with having those 2 bits of recording me failing and struggling earlier, it'll have taken up a lot of my camera time. Anyway, see you in a bit. Right, as you can tell, I'm not inside the workshop. I'm done for the day, but my mum and dad have come over and they're over there now, so I wasn't going to record the last bit while I was in there. I've got a total of 2 coats of stain on all of the drawers. I've got a picture, a couple of pictures I can show them, and they're looking pretty good, to be honest. Once I got my routine down, I was quite happy. Now I did contemplate waiting and putting another coat on, but I think I'll go with the safer approach, which is I was getting cold, I'm getting tired, I'm hurting a lot. It's now quite a lot later than it was this morning, so I decided I was going to let the drawers cure, and then next week, hopefully next week, I'll be able to find out, well, not hopefully, I'll find out if they're going to need another coat of stain or not. If they do, then I can crack on with that. And yeah, I mean, it has been a longer process than I was expecting it to be. The initial plan of it should be pretty quick, as that, yeah, in an ideal world, yeah. Sadly that wasn't to be, so yeah, it's taken a while. It's been a bit fiddly, but sometimes things just take time, so I think it's about time that I take time. So now though, I am going to go and fuss the dogs for a bit, and then I am going to head home and relax, because I am fucked now. I am hurting so much. I'm so tired. I am really, really tired at all. Right, until next time, have a good one.